The Bombardment of Kagoshima, also known as the Anglo-Satsuma War, took place on 15 to 17 August 1863 during the late Tokugawa shogunate. The Royal Navy was fired on from coastal batteries near the town of Kagoshima and in retaliation bombarded the town. The British were trying to exact a payment from the daimyo of Satsuma following the Namamugi incident of 1862, in which British nationals were attacked by Satsuma samurai for not showing the proper respect for a daimyo's regent. Background: following the Namamugi incident on September 14, 1862, Lieutenant Colonel Neil, the British charge d'affaires, demanded from the Bakufu an apology and a huge indemnity for the Namamugi outrage of £100,000, representing roughly one-third of the total revenues of the Bakufu for 1 year. Neil kept threatening a naval bombardment of Edo if the payment was not made. Britain also demanded of the Satsuma domain the arrest and trial of the perpetrators of the outrage, and £25,000 compensation for the surviving victims and the relatives of Charles Lennox Richardson. The Bakufu, led by Ogasawara Nagamichi in the absence of the shogun who was in Kyoto, eager to avoid trouble with European powers, negotiated with France and Great Britain on July 2, 1863, on board the French warship Semiramis, apologized and paid the indemnity to the British authorities. Participating in the settlement were the main French and British political and navy representatives of the time. Duchesne de Bellecourt, the French minister in Japan, Lieutenant Colonel Neil, the charge d'affaires of Great Britain, Admiral Jayors and Admiral Cooper. Satsuma Province, however, refused to apologize, to pay the compensation of £25,000 demanded by the British, or to convict and execute the 2 Japanese samurai responsible for the murder, arguing that disrespect to the daimyo was normally sanctioned by the immediate death of those showing disrespect. Legally, the claim was invalid, as foreigners in Japan benefited from extraterritoriality due to Japan's reluctant acceptance of what the Japanese called the unequal treaties with Europe. Japanese customary law did not apply to foreigners. However, politically, Satsuma felt it could not be seen as submitting to European demands in the very anti-foreign context at that time in Japan. Great Britain, however, wished to make a point against anti-foreign outrages in Japan. Other anti-foreign troubles were occurring throughout the country at the same time, reinforced by Emperor Komai's 1863 order to expel barbarians. The European powers chose to react militarily to such exactions. The Straits of Shimonoseki had already seen attacks on American, Dutch and French ships passing through, each of which had brought retaliation from those countries, with the U.S. frigate as Wyoming under Captain McDougall, the Dutch warship Medusa under Captain François de Cassambrut, and the 2 French warships Tancred and the Dupleix under Captain Benjamin Jayors attacking the mainland. Eventually, on 14 August 1863, a multinational fleet under Admiral Cooper and the Royal Navy commenced the bombardment of Shimonoseki to prevent further attacks on Western shipping there. They succeeded. Protestations of the Bakufu following protracted and fruitless negotiations with Satsuma that had taken over a year. The British charge d'affaires eventually had had enough. Under British government instructions, he required the Royal Naval Commander-in-Chief of the Far East and China Station to coerce Satsuma into complying with the British government's demands. Informed of the plans, the Bakufu asked for a delay in its implementation. On receipt of your dispatch of 3 August, we fully understood that you intend to go within 3 days to the territory of the Prince of Satsuma with the men of war now lying in the Bay of Yokohama, to demand satisfaction for the murder of a British merchant on the Tokaido last year. But owing to the present unsettled state of affairs in our empire, which ye witness and hear of, we are in great trouble, and intend to carry out several plans. Supposing, now, something untoward were to happen, then all the trouble both you and we have taken would have been in vain and fruitless. Therefore we request that the said departure may be delayed, for the present. Edo, 4th of August, signed by 4 Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Shogunate. On the 5th, a Vice Minister from Edo visited Colonel Neal, but far from further opposing the expedition, actually transmitted that the Shogunate intended to send one of its steamers with the squadron. The steamer in question, however, did not join the expedition. Departure. The British squadron left Yokohama on August 6. It was composed of the flagship HMS Euryalus, HMS Pearl, HMS Perseus, HMS Argus, HMS Coquette, HMS Racehorse and the gunboat HMS Havoc. They sailed for Kagoshima and anchored in the deep waters of Kinko Bay on August 11, 1863. Satsuma envoys came aboard Euryalus and letters were exchanged, with the British commander pressing for a resolution satisfactory to his demands within 24 hours. The Satsuma clan prevaricated, refusing to comply for various reasons. Combat. The deadline expired, and diplomacy gave way to coercion. Deciding to put pressure on Satsuma, the Royal Navy commander seized 3 foreign-built steam merchant ships belonging to Satsuma which were at anchor in Kagoshima harbor, to use them as a bargaining tool. Picking their moment, just as a typhoon started, the Satsuma forces on shore vented their anger by firing their round-shot cannons at the British ships. Surprised by the hostility, the British fleet responded by first pillaging and then setting on fire the 3 captured steamships. Then, after nearly 2 hours getting ready, a line of battle was formed, which sailed along the coast of Kagoshima and fired cannon shells and round shot. One of the British warships, the gunboat Havoc, set 5 Ryukyuan trading junks on fire. The naval bombardment claimed 5 lives among the people of Satsuma, and 13 lives among the British. Material losses were considerable, with around 500 wood and paper houses burnt in Kagoshima, the Ryukyuan embassy destroyed, and the 3 Satsuma steamships and 5 Ryukyuan junks destroyed. The encounter was face-saving for Satsuma, and was even claimed as a victory by the Japanese side, considering the relative number of casualties. The British ships did not land troops or seize cannons, Coop having decided that enough was enough. Final negotiations and convergence. Satsuma, however, later negotiated and paid 25,000 liras. They never produced or identified Richardson's killers, but despite this, the reparation received was enough to obtain an agreement by Britain to supply steam warships to Satsuma. The conflict actually became the starting point of a close relationship between Satsuma and Britain, which became major allies in the ensuing Boshin War. From the start, the Satsuma province had generally been in favor of the opening and modernization of Japan. Although the Namamugi incident was unfortunate, it was not characteristic of Satsuma's policy, and was rather abusively branded as an example of anti-foreign Sono-joy sentiment, as a justification to a strong European show of force. An interesting historical footnote to this incident was that a young Hashiro Togo was manning one of the cannons used to defend the port, and is reported to have attributed his future career as head and father of the Imperial Japanese Navy to this moment. Bibliography. Denny, John. Respect and Consideration. Britain in Japan 1853–1868 and Beyond. Radiance Press. ISBN 978-0-9568798-0-6. Howe, Christopher. The Origins of Japanese Trade Supremacy. Development and Technology in Asia from 1540 to the Pacific War. C. Hurst & Co. Publishes. ISBN 9781850655381. Pollack, Christian. SOIEA Lumières. LAGE dans des échanges franco-japonais. Tokyo. Chambre des commerces et d'industrie française du Japon. Hachette Fujin Gahosha. Blank. 100 Kinu to Ikario. Shera Rezarunichi Futsu Koru 100 Nen no Rikishi. Tokyo. Asheto Fujin Gahosha 2002. ISBN 978-4-573-06210-8, OCLC 50,875,162. Rennie, David Field, The British Arms in North China and Japan, originally published 1864. Facsimile by Adamant Media Corporation, ISBN 1-4021-8184-1. Satow, Ernest. The Bombardment of Kagoshima, Chapter 8, A Diplomat in Japan. Totman, Conrad 1980, The Collapse of the Tokugawa Bakufu, 1862–1868 University of Hawaii Press, Honolulu, ISBN 0-8248-0614-X. Zwyer, Lawrence J. Cunningham, Marquis. The End of the Shoguns and the Birth of Modern Japan, Pivotal Moments in History. 21st Century Books. ISBN 978146770373772.